where he's been taking a lot of the first. He's been going first a lot when they're doing these return drills, and I think it's Covey because I think they would also want to see if he warrants a spot. I think personally, I think he makes a team. I really think he does that, and they want to give him because I think he catches the ball cleanest. I think when you look at Rager in the last couple of years, there's always that uncertainty. He drops a little bit, or he has to. You see a ball move a little bit, and you're like, oh, is he muffing it or not? I think when I look at Covey, he's been catching the ball cleanly with his hands.
Is the first game day of the not the calendar year, because they did play that other game last January. I guess that was the first game day of 2022. That didn't go well. Hopefully tonight's game for you Eagle fans goes better because they take on the New York Jets in their preseason opener. Chris Franklin's going to help us get pumped up for tonight's game. Are you ready for some football, Mr. Franklin?
I cannot wait because it'll be fun. It'll be fun to see the Eagles take on somebody other than themselves. It'll be fun to actually see some tackling besides the live open practice. So I'm looking forward to
that. What is tackling?
What is
Chris?
tackling?
Yeah,
we're talking about tackling, not two-hand touch, not holding them up, not to thud. Tackling. I'm liking that.
Yeah. It will be interesting to see, who's kind of doing that technique, fundamental work, and who can bring people down in a live environment because there's a big difference. And this is where we get to see, we always talk about the running backs. Everybody asks us, Chris, how's the running backs doing? I don't know. They don't do it. They don't get tackled. I mean, can they break a tackle? Who knows? Offensive linemen, all of a sudden the physicality of that Eagles offensive line can show up. Now, who knows if Jordan Mailata is going to play? Nick said we're going to get a series or two from the healthy starters. I don't see why would lie about that. So we're going to get a cameo. What are you most looking forward to see besides that tackling and that physicality?
I want to see, I know I'll start offensively. I want to see that chemistry early on. I want to see if they come out there. We know they're not spending all this time game planning for the first preseason game, but I want to see how well they come out and they execute, how well Jalen Hurts and whoever's receiver is, AJ Brown, if he plays, or whoever's out there, how well the timing is gotten there against some of these other corners. Because after a while, as camp goes on, even though it's human nature. Well, I see this guy. I've seen it so many times. This guy's lining up a little bit inside. Oh, I know where he's going to go, and you get that little quick extra millisecond. So to see them mix it up a little bit, that one. And then defensively, I'm actually looking forward to seeing Nakobe Dean because how many times have we seen where they're basically 7-7 of passing? You see him drop back in coverage, and he can't really tackle anybody. As you mentioned earlier, when it comes to running back, he can't really tackle anybody when it comes to these things. So I want to see his instincts and how quickly he gets to the ball and if he can be an impact guy, even if he's on the second unit.
Chris, this will probably not win me any points here with our audience. Is Jason Kelce too tough for his own good? He will not be playing tonight. He had to undergo surgery. It's questionable as to whether he's going to be there for the first game against the Lions. I'm assuming he didn't have the surgery done because he's a tough guy and thought he could play through it and didn't need surgery. And now he has to have surgery, which does put a game or a couple in question for the beginning of the season. Is he too tough for his own good?
I think sometimes every time on a team, you need at least one guy to act like the bravado guy, like, oh, I can gut through this. And he's gutted through it for 120 plus games. Straight starts. He's gutted through it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was one of those things where he really truly was contemplating retirement. And he thought like, okay, I'm not going to get it right away. I might do this. And then he's like, oh, I'm coming back and I can play through this. It'll be all right. I'll just get the brace and everything out there. It would have been nice to see it happen earlier. Yeah, I think it would have been that because then that gives Camp Jurgens even more time to prep for tonight, even though it's a preseason game. But I think overall, I wouldn't be too upset like it because a lot of football guys are like, hey, you know what? Now I can gut through this because mainly some of those guys are looking to keep their jobs. But even though you're Jason Kelce, you still got that drive and that will and sometimes that ego as well too. Like, you know what? No, I want to prove nobody's going to do this. Like I'm the best to do in that area, so I want to have to be physical and deal with some stuff. So that's why I think on
that. We've been debating this part of the Jason Kelce story, Chris. So I want to get your take on it. how is Nick Sirianni going to handle Cam Jurgens now that he's a starter, at least for the short term? Does he put him in bubble wrap with the other starters, or is he a rookie? He needs reps. I got to get him prepared for week 1 just in case. How do you think he's going to handle Cam Jurgens?
I'd play him almost through a quarter and a half, to be honest with us, maybe up to through 2 quarters, because we figure Kelce's going to come back. Cam's not going to be back in there for foreseeable future. You almost hope you don't see him again unless it's a blowout. You try to get your guys in there to get time in the game. So I think now's the time where you want to get him the reps. You want him to get a feel, because you can look at videos and say, oh, well, okay, that's a 3-4. He's the Mike here, and that. But then when you actually see it and the live ball's flying, like, well, these guys are really going to get that extra level. So I'd get him as much time as you can right now in the preseason, and then just have him keep following Kelce around from there on out. But he for his next 3 games, he should get a lot of time.
All right, Eagles are serving a lot of masters tonight between getting guys in rhythm, playing together, getting guys reps, getting guys protected because you don't want them injured, because the first game will be here in 30 days before you know it against the Lions. So they got a lot of contingencies tied into tonight. But the first play of the game is going to be Jalen Hurts on a slant to A.J. Brown, right? They got that down. They did a lot of that in practice. If you want that first play successful, it's got to be a slant from Jalen Hurts to A.J. Brown, right?
You know what? I personally, I would love to see a play action pass a la the T.O. to Donovan. Play action pass.
Everybody wants to see that, Chris. Everybody wants to see that.
But the best thing, especially,
by the way, Jalen's really good throwing that deep ball down the right sideline. He's got a nice feel for it. If the ball comes out on time, I wouldn't be surprised if you see that. If you see the deep shot right off the bat, who cares, right? Preseason, get people excited.
Yeah, and especially Jalen, he's a quarterback who needs to be in the flow early. You get a good indication with his first 3 throws. I can see the slant. I can see a bubble screen right now. The bubble screen. A.J. Brown, okay, crowd cheered, and then that one too.
Bubble screen. Don't bubble screen me, Nick Sirianni. Shane Steichen, if you're listening. Don't bubble screen me.
Because they'll go out and go, okay, he finished 3 for 3. He looked good, looked sharp, and that'll be the narrative going into the Cleveland. That'll be it.
Well, here's where I'm. So Nick has told us a series or 2. So I think if they go on like a 10-play drive, that's it. They'll take Jalen out. If it's 3 and out, maybe he gets a second series. But over under, would you say that, look, AJ and Dallas are getting the ball when they throw it, or is there a chance somebody else, could be anybody, are you taking the field, somebody else can get the football in that short window? Because it's been all AJ and Dallas in camp.
I'll take the field, and I think it'll be Miles Sanders on a dump off. I think we'll see. It'll be so vanilla. I feel like we're at an ice cream factory. It's like, all right, cool. This is okay. Slants and run. But that's one thing I really want him to really work on and start to do is take those checkdowns, because a lot of times these defenses are going to have to play deep, and they're going to be basically looking to not have a big play happen to them. The checkdowns to either him or Gainwell are going to be there. So I think tonight, Robert Saleh is not going to want to get beat deep, keep his confidence in his defense going. So then you might have Miles Sanders on a swing route and dump it off there. So I think AJ and Goddard will get theirs, but I wouldn't be surprised if Miles Sanders gets a couple in there too.
All right, I'm going to ask both of you guys this question, and I'll lay it out for you. All the way back to Jalen Hurts when he stepped in for Carson Wentz. All last season, even whatever you've seen this preseason. And the word I'm using is screen. And when I say screen game, usually screen means the running back has got to start behind the quarterback. For me, that's a true screen. But I'll say any wide receiver, any running back catches, how would you grade Jalen Hurts' screen game? From the time he came into the league up to tonight's game against the Jets, what kind of grade would you give Jalen Hurts as a screen passer?
I'd probably go C+, B- range, because the timing's gotten better, I think, because when he first got in the league and he's doing a couple of things, it was like, okay, he's holding the ball too long and on that back foot and then trying to get rid of it. And it's like, okay, it looks disjointed. I think it's gotten better, and I think we'll see it more. I think this year, and I think it'll be a good thing to use more. But it's probably C plus range if I had to give it a grade on there.
Yeah, I think it's tough to give Jalen a grade because there's so many moving parts to the screen game. I don't think the Eagles have been good at it, Jody, as a whole.
Right.
But I think a lot of that is like when they do the wide receiver screens, for instance, they can't seem to figure out they can't go downfield. And that to me is coaching or the receivers trying to block. They're pretty good with tight end screens. The traditional running back screen, I don't think Miles is very good at it. I don't think Miles hits his landmarks on occasion, and that's what Deuce Staley used to tell us. Kenny should be better at it, but I think it's been like a whole. I don't think the Eagles are very good at the screen.
So is that on Sirianni?
Yeah.
If we say the Eagles screen game isn't good, is that on the head coach and working with his other coaches and going, we need to be better on this?
Yeah, one of my biggest, and Chris, you can chime in on this. One of my biggest criticisms of Nick was, and we've already seen it in camp when the officials were there. How many touchdowns got called back for rub routes? And the receivers, and Nick's supposed to be a receiver guy,
right?
That was one of my biggest criticisms of Nick, and that's got to improve, that attention to detail. And when it comes to rub routes or wide receiver screens, look, that's your position, man. You got to get those guys doing it. Your thoughts there, Chris?
It's an art form to it because it's just too many times you have to go to, oh no, I didn't know I was in the way. So I mean, before we blatantly saw, I don't know if it was Rager, I like they did actually White a couple times, you're just flat out blocking, you're waiting like, what are you doing? But I wonder, personally, I think it might improve because now you have more experienced guys, more veteran guys that can be playing a little bit more in those last slot area. So now you have Zach Pascal who knows more that one. You can do that a little bit more. And he knows how to get away with it, as opposed to say, well, I wouldn't put Quest Watkins in on the block on the screen, but I would probably more like a bigger guy, like say like a Jalen Rager, who is still young, still trying to put things together, and then he's getting more in the way and just flat out blocking. And you don't have to worry about JJ now, except for tight end. But I think you have some better personnel to do that if they wanted to, and it looks right ahead. I'm glad that we don't have to see the high five in the middle just to make sure they get the spacing right in order to do that. Now it's just like finally, I'm saying you have guys that actually know, okay, this is what we're doing. I don't have to high five the guy and go, oh, I have enough good space. All right, yay. So there's still some work that has to be done on there, but I don't foresee it being as many penalties for offensive pass interference unless it's AJ Brown trying to get position down the field or guys like stuff like that.
See, at first time the Eagles get a stop and the punt team comes out onto the field, who's back to catch it? Britton Covey or Jalen Rager?
Britton Covey, for sure. He's been taking a lot of the first. He's been going first a lot when they're doing these return drills, and I think it's Covey because I think they would also want to see if he warrants a spot. I think he makes a team. I really think he does that, and they want to give him because I think he catches the ball cleanest. I think when you look at Rager in the last couple of years, there's always that uncertainty. He drops a little bit, or you see a ball move a little bit, and you're like, oh, is he muffing it or not? I think when I look at Covey, he's been catching the ball clean with his hands, and he's got enough quick twitch reaction. I don't think we'll see the Dante Hall type deal with him. He might be Danny Amendola when he's back there catching the punch, stuff like that. So I think we see more of that, and I think he'll do a decent job of it too.
You mentioned Britton making the team. Does that mean Jalen Rager doesn't, or you have them keeping 6 receivers?
I have them keeping 6. I think they keep the 6 there, and because I look away. Just I think when you look at the cap hit when it comes to there, and I think I think the front office is looking like, hey, you know what? We still think we can get something out of Jalen Rager, and we don't want to say, hey, no, this was complete failure or anything like that. And maybe his mindset he seems like he's in a better place mentally than he was the last 2 years too. So I think to do that, and if anything, I think Deion Kane might make a late push, but I don't think that's not enough spots on this team to warrant. You're never going to have 7 wide receivers on this roster, 53, but I think he's going to impress too. So it's going to be they're pretty deep at that position compared to other years.
Well, let me ask you about maybe my favorite Eagle player, Derek Barnett.
Derek talked to us this week.
Yeah.
By the way, I defend Derek all the time, and Derek gave me that
interaction between. It's like, what is going on here? Like, did something happen? I didn't know about what's going on.
Yeah.
How are you, John?
I usually take the time to point out how underachieving Derek Barnett has been since he put on an Eagle uniform. But Johnny Mac comes to his defense. So I'm glad that I get John unfollowed by people on Twitter. But every once in a while, I get him a bro job with the guy from the Eagles.
Derek was not. That was not a serious. How you doing?
Yeah.
You don't think so?
That was like a get the hell out of the tent. How you doing?
Yeah.
So another guilty by association for McMullen.
No, Derek. It wasn't me specifically. Derek just doesn't like talking to the media. I mean, he just
also doesn't like sacking the quarterback. So those two things go hand in hand, which is very good. Chris Franklin, how much does he play tonight? He's a veteran guy, so he should get the veteran pass, but he hasn't exactly stood out in practices, shocking, this spring. So do they need to determine how much he's got in the tank going forward for him to play during the regular season?
I know they say they view the two, they have 1A defensive line and 1B defensive line, but to me, being where he's at on the depth chart, I think he plays a lot, especially in the first half, because you need to get you need to throw somebody out there, be it on that second team or to back up, and then B, you need to basically see what he's got right now and try different combinations along that line and see what works. Try to move him around, who knows? I doubt they do these eyeballs. We'll see if he can drop back in coverage once in a while because they've done that in the past. So I think you need to get him a lot of work. You would have liked to see him, especially as a former first-round pick, be on that first team and not be beaten out by Josh Sweat or anybody like that. But we're at the point of that where he's at right now, so I think he's going to get a lot of work tonight.
You know, Howie mentioned, and I've been saying it, you know, if you could get the Men in Black sort of mind-erasing device and make everybody forget that Derek Barnett was a first-round pick, he'd be fine. As a rotational player, you'd say, oh, that's not bad. That's not bad. But he's in Philadelphia, and he was a first-round pick, and he was number 14 overall. Are you surprised he's here from both standpoints, from Derek's and the Eagles?
I thought he would have gotten a little bit more money than what he did elsewhere, because there are moments when you see the pass, especially that Denver game last year, where you see him get the pressure on a quarterback, you see him get the hurries, and you see him impact the timing of a quarterback, and you're looking like, where's his consistency? Where's this guy through 17 games, and you don't see that. I'm shocked. I thought he would go somewhere else to say, you know what, I want to restart things. I got my money here, more than what he signed here, and he just moves on and tries to revitalize his career. But the fact that he didn't get the contract that he was searching for, especially, and DNs are one of the highest paid positions as well too, because everybody wants pass rushers. He was a passing league. The fact that he's back here, that really did surprise me. But he said he likes the locker room and everything else. So I guess if apples come back, what you're familiar with. But I was a little shocked, honestly.
All right, you buying that he's back here because he likes the locker room, because he likes Philadelphia.
I do. They are close. I did. Well, they don't like talking to me, but Brandon. Brandon likes talking to everybody. He is close. His teammates do like Derek a lot. I mean, there is something to that. They are very close. But yeah,
I think he's, my opinion, I think he's back here because the Eagles gave him the best offer. I think the rest of the league
somebody gave him. That's what
Derek Barnett, that is not shared by the Eagles and or some of the media that cover this team. I think the league decided you're not that good. We're not paying you. And Eagles said, all right, we'll put the best offer on the table and we'll take you back.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Now, if he got a better contract elsewhere, I think he would have liked other people in another city. But I do think he does get along with his teammates, and they always generally defend him. So I think there's something to that
Well, I
part of
think
it.
he's a hard worker. I just don't think he produces.
And
I know
I'll
he
throw this
gives
one
effort, and
thing.
I know that he's a good guy, and his teammates like him. Yeah, I'll take the guy that actually makes plays on Sunday.
And I'll throw this one thing in real quick. If he cuts out those penalties, he's got the rep. But if he finally finds that target zone and he stops jumping off sides, and he has a year like he has last year, I think he gets probably maybe $1 or $2 more million. But if you commit the penalties, you become a liability and can sustain drives and at least a point. So he cuts
Especially
that
when
out
the
this
head
year.
coach gets pictured saying it's always him.
So if he does well this year, like if he has the same type of year as he did last year, cuts out the penalties, I think he's elsewhere with the problem value about a couple million more. I really do.
Yeah.
You're older.
His
His earning potential is what it is.
But it's not a bad fourth defensive end. That's all I'm saying. It's not a bad fourth defensive end.
And what you said, John, which is accurate, he's no longer on his first contract. When he was on his first contract, I think it's ultimately fair to judge him as you're the 14th pick in the draft.
Oh, yeah.
You rewrote Reggie White's record book at Tennessee. Yeah, you're going to be held to that standard. Fair or unfair, it is what it is. He's no longer on his first contract. He had the chance to go free agency. He didn't. He came back here. He's playing for under market value for a defensive end with his veteran status. You judge him on what he is now. I'll put all of that behind us, that he didn't get the job done for his status in the draft. Just judge him as a free agent acquisition, because he was a free agent who's making what, $4.5 million, $5 million or something like that this year.
Yeah,
not outrageous at all.
Make up. Yeah, it's not a bad deal. So let's shift it to the defense as a whole, Chris, because I think people are going to finally get to see the base defense. They're going to finally see what a 5-2 overhang is, and
yes,
they're going to see all the odd man versus even man fronts. You're going to see even man fronts on obvious pass rushing situations. What are you most excited to see? You mentioned Nakobe. Everybody seems to want to see Nakobe, but are you excited to see schematically or players? A lot of new players. What's more important to you?
I think the scheme I really would love to see. I don't think we're going to see it until they play the Lions, because they want to probably hold that in the thing. But I really want to see player. I want to see Jordan Davis. I want to see how much of a force he can be in the middle of that line, how much attraction he can take, and how much pressure he gets up the middle. Because I look overall in this camp, I've liked what I've seen a lot. I really truly have. And I'll put it this way, he's not as dominant as we saw in that one video that he had against Cam Jurgens.
Yeah. He didn't like that either. Yeah. I give credit for Jordan.
He's right, because Cam Jurgens has, in those one-on-ones, have stood him up too a lot. So still, they both need to work on something. They're rookies, so you expect that. I want to see how much attention he draws, how much he gets used to his gap, and I want to see some of these pass rushing moves as well too. Because the big knock on him coming out was he can be a good run stuffer, but he rush the passer. I think he can. I just want to see how he's able to maneuver that way and able to fight off double teams. So that's the main guy I'm looking for. I want to see him be a force in that middle. And then overall, I think as well too, just throw this up, the cornerbacks that they have, because they're loaded at cornerback right now in terms of numbers. You got guys like in my opinion, you got seven guys fighting for like maybe one or two spots. And you invested all this last year with bringing cornerbacks, Tay Gowan, Mac McCain, Kerry Vincent, Josiah Scott. I want to see how those guys work in there. And Scott, right now, just because he's able to play safety and looking decent at it,
cross training,
he might have
too. They're cross training. That says something.
Yeah, and I think another guy, Kayvon Wallace, I think he's going to have to show out these next two games, because if not, he got caught out by the GM already.
That was the most interesting part. The last practice, so Anthony Harris had a dental issue and missed the practice, and it wasn't Kayvon Wallace. It was Andre Sacheret and even Reed Blankenship getting some first team reps, and no Kayvon Wallace. What does that say about Kayvon Wallace, Chris?
I think he's I have him winning outside looking in for a roster spot. I really do. And to me, I think he's more suited. I think they should have eventually tried to cross-train him being like possibly a linebacker or a dime. I think he's more of an in-box guy. And when you look at what they're doing right now, there's the top 3 safeties overall right now. When you have Harris, Epps, and Tart. Now, okay, you're 3 deep. Kayvon Wallace. Okay, what do you do when you look at special?
Real quick, Jaquiski Tart, is he guaranteed to make this team? I mean, he's gone for personal reasons. We haven't seen him the past few days. When he was out there, he was getting second team reps, but then he got some third team reps. What's going on with Jaquiski Tart? You still have him in that top 3?
I think so. I think he's still trying to work his way back into playing as well too, because he came in later than most of the other guys as well too. So I still have him in that top 3 because I think he can still do a lot with him. I think he still could play at a higher level. I thought it was a little peculiar, and I know everybody's personal reasons. I love to when he comes back. I love to talk to him about his personal reasons, but if it's nothing too serious, if he's willing to open up about it and see what's going on there. Hopefully, it's not one of those things where he's trying to contemplate his future or something like that. And you hope it's nothing like that, but. I still think overall, if you had to put, you had to say, hey, Kayvon or Tart, you're picking in the schoolyard and go give it Kayvon or Tart, and you have to play right now for this game to do it. I'm still going Tart even for what I see right now.
I might go Saturday.
I'm
going off to the side and picking Reed Blankenship.
All right, so we all have different guys. I'm taking Josiah Scott. I think he's going to be the guy who's going to be moved back to safety and get that spot. No, better yet. Prediction from yours truly, that 24, 48-hour period after rosters need to be cut down, when everybody's claiming everybody else's player and there's roster jump, Eagles will get another safety. Not necessarily a starting safety, but the Eagles will be picking someone else off another team's roster at the cut down date. Remember, you heard that here first. All right, last thing for me, Chris Franklin's supposed to be a big deal coming into Eagle camp. The competition at right guard. Didn't happen. Didn't materialize. It's been Isaac and only Isaac. Does Isaac play tonight?
I think very limited. I think it's a very limited thing because he still needs time to work with Lane Johnson. And especially now, if you may not have Kelce. I know they're saying they want Kelce back week 1, but if you do not have Kelce back, you need him to get used to playing next to Cam Jurgens too. So I don't think it's going to be – I don't think we'll see – a quarter or anything extended time with Sam Allen, but I still think you need him out there to get used to those two and playing there. And it's been a while since he had any game action. He's been saying week 3, I believe it was, when he got against the Cowboys when he got that Liz Frank injury. So it's been a while since he played game speed. So you want to get him back ramped up to get used to that again. So yeah, I think he plays a little bit and then keep him safe.
All right, Chris Franklin, thank you very much for hopping on with us today. Watch out for McMullen. He gets a little antsy when he gets near the food tray. So if you're down there early near him, he's got a bum leg. If he's going for the last hot dog, hit him in the knee. He's got a bad knee. You can get him out of the way real easy. He's limping around.
That's true.
You might not see the limp. So if you're coming in from behind, just one quick shot in the knee, he'll go down. You get the last hot dog.
I'll pull the old quarterback moves, maneuver around the pocket. I'll move around, try to move forward to the Stodas or something. There you go.
Extend the play, Chris.
CF, thanks, brother. We'll get you back on in a couple weeks.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. You have a good one, man.
Appreciate it.